I have webbed the back of the chair. You'll notice that it's a little different from when we did the springs. This time it's done on the top of the frame. When we did the springs, it was done on the bottom because that gave us the extra depth we needed for the springs. But when we're not using any springs, we just go ahead and do it right on the top of the frame. So now we're going to do the wings. And for the wings, we're going to use a little different webbing. This webbing, as you'll notice, has a black stripe, as opposed to the webbing we've been using, which has a red stripe. The red striped webbing is heavier. It's good to use on seating surfaces where you're going to have springs and such. The black webbing is quite a bit lighter, and it's good to use on arms and wings where it doesn't get a lot of stress from people sitting on it. You can use the red if you prefer, but the black is a little less expensive. Now, if you're doing a chair at home and you're following along, you may have a frame member that runs right through here. And that frame member is very often referred to as a pull-through. This chair, you notice, it does not have any pull-throughs here. They're not as common, but they're definitely more common than your older chairs. So the technique that I use is to use a piece of webbing as a pull-through. So what I'll do is I'll tack this only halfway. And then I will fold it back. And pretty much tack it just as we would a normal piece of webbing. And again, I'll pull it tight. But we're only going to tack it halfway. And we can fold it over again and re-tack. That can be cut off, fold it over, and tacked again. And that'll give us our pull-through. On the arm, I'm going to do a procedure that's similar to what we did on the wing, but in this case, it would be really nice if I could have a pull across the bottom and also along the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure off enough webbing so I have enough to put on here and stretch it. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew this up. Now all I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to fold them over and we'll sew them together, and then we'll fold it again and I'll sew those together. If you're doing this at home and you don't have access to a commercial sewing machine, you could take this to any upholstery shop. They'd probably be glad to sew it up for you. If you are using your home machine, this is going to be difficult on it, so be very careful and go very slow. But I would highly recommend an industrial machine for this procedure. If you don't want to go to the expense and you don't have an upholsterer in your area, you could always find a 1-inch nylon strapping, and you could use that for your pulls. We're going to tack this on the inside of the frame rail on the back. Then we're going to pull this to the front of the arm on the inside. Now you don't want to pull too tight. We don't want to pull our staples out, but just tight enough to hold our shape. Then we'll staple this along the front. Then just trim off the excess. And we want to attach our other pull-through right in here on top of the frame. Now we really want to avoid trying to staple through the cotton and the horseware that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, this is a regulator. You can use an ice pick or a scratch-all, or maybe even a small Phillips screwdriver if you don't have any of those. You just need to get in there and just push the cotton and the horsehair away from the frame, just in a small area. You just want to make it so that we can attach directly to the wood. So I just need to keep working at this until we get this all there. Now we can just take and staple this on there. Now we're going to pull this to the inside. We want to come up on the inside of our arm. I'll adjust the camera so you can see that better. I'm just going to pull this up through here. Use our webbing stretcher to pull it tight. Don't want to pull too tight. We don't want to pull our staples out. Won't hurt to wrap this right around. Give it a little better holding. There we go. There's our pulls. You can see what I've done here with the webbing on the arms is I've just tacked it on the top and on the inside arms, and I've done my basket weave pattern, and I have just left tails long enough to get my webbing stretcher on there and to pull that tight. What we're going to have to do is, after we get these inside arms all upholstered, I'll go back and we'll tighten that up and we'll tack those down. But the only way we're going to be able to do that and not cut around that webbing with our consecutive different layers of fabric is to leave those loose and to go back and tighten them when we're all completed.